Groups and teams have become an unavoidable part of work life. We've probably all had both positive and negative experiences working in teams, and often we struggle to understand why one group works so well and another fails. Over the past few decades, there has been a rapid proliferation in the use of teams in business because they are often necessary, more effective, and innovative than individuals. They are unavoidable, and their function and results can sometimes feel unpredictable. However, organizational behavioral theorists and psychologists have studied groups and developed frameworks for analyzing them, their structures, and best practices for their management. This past week, we read literature from these thought leaders and engaged in a number of experiential learning activities to build our knowledge and skills for managing groups effectively. To this end, our class relied heavily on a model adapted by Richard Hackman that traces group life cycle from inputs through process to outputs. When a group of unique individuals get together to solve a problem or complete a task, the complex interdynamics can feel a little bit like magic. But luckily, structures exist to help us understand the common factors across all groups and to manage the uniqueness that develops in different groups. Now let me introduce our team, the Lucky Green Sevens.
Hey guys, it's Fred.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi everyone, it's Sagar.
Hi, I'm Heather.
Hi, I'm Aditya.
Hi, I'm Riri.
Hi, I'm Nicholas.
Hi, I'm Pete.
Each team member took an in-depth personality test so that we could better assess each other's individual character and see where we had strengths, complementary attributes, and where we are missing traits that could make us a more productive team. As you'll notice, we have a lot of different personality types, but we are not evenly distributed around the personality wheel. We have 5 introverts, 2 ambiverts, and only 1 extrovert. We have 6 thinkers and 2 feelers, and no one who classifies as a motivator type or a director. We have a lot of analytic horsepower and sufficient emotional intelligence in our group. But the lack of the directing type, someone to take charge and drive action, was noticeable in our first meetings as we found ourselves over-planning without taking action. It was immediately apparent that we needed to establish a strong group process to make up for what we were missing in our inputs. It's also worth noting the environmental factors at play. We are all new MBA students finding our footing, and we were placed in heterogeneous groups that we did not choose. Also, the nature of the tasks we completed while in this forming stage were time sensitive, which helped amplify the urgency and expose weaknesses. Throughout the week, we built affective trust and found ourselves naturally establishing the norms that we would later formalize.
Per Hackman's model of team dynamics, the Hurricane Project was the official start of our storming phase. At the outset of the hurricane discussion, we failed to identify the problem and experts in the room, clearly define a process, or delineate the roles that needed to be fulfilled, including a much-needed timekeeper.
After 7 minutes of informal general discussion about the problem, we began to visually diagram our overall strategy. In this part of the discussion, we focused on higher-level actions and their appropriate sequencing, rather than discussing how and when specific survival items would be used. This created an environment that allowed for some debate and the exchange of ideas, but we failed to balance this planning phase with execution.
We only began naming our top items after more than 12 minutes in the activity had passed. Meanwhile, several members of the group, unbeknownst to those of us dominating the discussion, got lost.
At 20 minutes into the exercise, we had agreed upon only 5 items and none of them had been assigned a priority. The next 7 minutes didn't engender much progress despite discussion. With 3 minutes left in the activity, pressure was mounting to produce something, anything.
The stress of the time crunch quickly forced majority decision-making. Groupthink emerged as the deadline drew closer, and the majority influence dissuaded dissent. In short, the hazards of discussion conveyed in Kitayama's research quickly became our reality.
While we were able to derive a nearly 20-point gain from our score relative to our average individual scores, we felt negatively about our performance. We knew that the team could produce higher quality work, more careful debate, and cohesion across the group. Our failure to assign a timekeeper and clearly outline a process ultimately proved detrimental to our decision-making.
Finally, we learned that the role of facilitation requires a careful balance between setting boundaries for discussion while leaving room for debate. By empirical standards, we demonstrated our collective intelligence, but we knew that we could do better to structure our time and strengthen group communication to unlock the synergies discussed by Caproni.
Having gained some insight from the hurricane survival exercise, the next day we proceeded to build Lego Man. We were asked to replicate this in a specific amount of time with a set of blocks after spending not more than 40 minutes on the planning phase.
We decided to delegate the responsibility of building individual body parts to a pair of teammates. Meanwhile, Megan took on the role of keeping account on the inventory of the blocks and coordinating our activities.
We were clear that we wanted to avoid the pitfalls of the hurricane exercise, and so we were explicit that everyone be on the same page and equally involved. Trust played a major part in that we allowed the two-man teams to do their work.
At the same time, we decided to complete our task and then check if there were any crucial elements that the other two-man teams might have missed. We were actively inviting disagreements in line with Kosher and Schwenk article.
Thereafter, Riri and I started integrating the teammates' tasks together, with Megan cross-checking any conflicts. By the end of the 40 minutes, and after multiple revisits to analyze him, we were confident that we hadn't missed out on any details.
Come game time, the planning and delegation of tasks paid off. We finished the assembly in a little over 3 minutes. During the debrief, we were pleased to see the process improvements from the hurricane experience. There was an early trust within the group, as well as a flat hierarchy to everyone instead of just 2 or 3 voices. A welcome suggestion incorporated from ideal readings.
Not content with this, during the debrief, we started identifying areas of improvement as well. We realized that although different people had been keeping an eye on the clock, there was no designated timekeeper, something we had touched on after the hurricane survival exercise too.
We also realized from the 2 exercise the need for a formalized team process document that explained the norms dictating our group's process, and in turn, the output generated by the group.
As we learned in the exercises, including Hurricane and Lego Man, timekeeping is not our forte. Thus, we made sure to appoint a timekeeper for the Foundation's document session. This worked. Our timekeeper made sure that we set a time frame for completing the assignment and helped us keep track along the way. During the session, we all actively listened to each other, applying best practices from Clausen and the interactive class sessions. We listened intently without making judgment, rephrased to make sure we heard correctly, and allowed for periods of silence. Realizing that the best teams have cognitive as well as effective trust, we focused on getting to know each other as teammates. We got to know each other's deepest goals for this MBA program, both personal and professional. We will continue to build on this great progress in 2 specific ways to ensure that we're taking advantage of the lessons learned. Number 1, we'll continue to enhance efficiency. Number 2, we'll continue to improve interpersonal dynamics. Ensuring efficiency and timeliness is going to be particularly important as we will be relatively flat with no designated leader, sort of like the Orpheus Orchestra described in Trout. Metrics we track over time will be how much time it takes for us to agree on a plan or make decisions, how many meetings it takes for us to arrive at the final deliverable, and how satisfied the group feels with time spent on group work. To improve interpersonal dynamics, we will continue paying attention to the different ways people communicate, process information, and contribute value, whether they're introvert or extrovert, observer or inspired. Metrics we'll be tracking will include whether we rotated roles to different team members and self-reports of whether personal needs were met.
We arrived at the Foundation's document to help us achieve the 2 goals mentioned. This living document is a representation of our team and will be updated as we move forward. Let me share 3 key principles from the document. The first principle is active listening. Our members have unique experience and skill set to contribute to the team, so it is natural that each member deserves complete and undivided attention. On the other hand, the team should allow time for dissenting opinion and debate, even perhaps a formal devil's advocate.
Whoa. Are you sure about this whole devil's advocate thing?
Yep, we're sure. The second principle is an innovative and educational process. Our process strives to include even the craziest ideas during brainstorming to encourage innovative ideas. In addition, we encourage learning and development by pairing an expert and a member interested in learning that specific field. This way, we can both stay efficient and develop our members. Finally, we need to make sure we build effective trust as well as cognitive trust, so we will make time for fun.